Hey everyone. You know, I talked yesterday in sort of response to the brawl that occurred on TNA Impact on Thursday, and how good it was, probably one of the best impacts, and how I mentioned some other things. You know, how I mentioned that it reminded me a lot of WCW Thunder back in 2000 when they had like I said, it was about a week or so after the New Blood was formed. They had this big old brawl throughout the show, and the entire show was like make your own rules up kind of deal. Well, way before I talked about that video, I kind of talked about the reaction fans had, and then recent, to the Main Event Mafia winning all the titles, and I kind of talked about the reaction to that, and I kind of mentioned that, we all know exactly as long-time fans when, the Main Event Mafia might come to an end. But, I know a lot of people have probably been, and I asked J-Dub, to give me his opinions, and eventually J-Dub and guys like Spinnernet1 may give their own opinions on what they feel about, maybe even Jeff Meacham will give their own opinions on how they feel about this whole Main Event Mafia deal when they feel it's going to end. In all honesty. But I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about, well, it does involve the Main Event Mafia, and, is it just me, or does this merger with the word elite seem a little similar to ECW? This merger with WCW during the Alliance storyline. I mean, basically, you had half the WWE roster, even though some of them were WCW, even though they were being portrayed as WCW wrestlers and ECW, wrestlers or whatever. Isn't it kind of ironic that that's very similar to what World Elite is doing? Is very similar to that. I mean, I'm not sure, but as a fan, when I saw that Alliance thing take place years ago, almost 8 years ago to this last month, isn't it kind of ironic that it's happening again with the World Elite and the Main Event Mafia? Because, like I said, when I saw this happen for the first time between WCW and ECW, is it me, or did I hear during the promos for, like, say, Survivor Series and Invasion back then, you hear Paul Heyman's voice always saying ECW throughout them all. Now, my frank opinion on it, my honest opinion, is I think they had something up their sleeves. You see, I believe, in an honest opinion, that even though they had WWE planned out to win in the end, I always had the strong feeling that somewhere in between they were going to try to put some dissension between the ranks. And I'm not just talking about the fact of thinking, Austin was going to defect when it was really Angle, but more the fact that perhaps, they had something planned, but they probably shelved it or something to where, Shane and Stephanie would find out that Paul's just using them to not only put, the dad out of business, but in the end, put Shane out of business and thus take over as an entire ECW brand. I'm just curious about that, because that's what it feels like to me. That's what it felt like to me. I mean, I've always had that feeling. I had that feeling back then, and I still feel that way, even though that story's long gone. But now that I look at now you might ask yourself, well, what does this got to do with the World Elite teaming up with the Main Event Mafia? Well, the Main Event Mafia, wouldn't you believe that it's almost 1 year since the Mafia was formed, right? And it's kind of ironic that not even a year later, the World Elite is formed. And now they want to associate with the Main Event Mafia. Now, the way I look at it as a fan, storyline-wise, knowing Vince Russo, there's a few possibilities. One, the World Elite could come to an end, at Bound for Glory along with the Main Event Mafia. That could happen. But as I mentioned on a certain wrestling forum, I believe what could happen, one of the biggest options, which would be a surprise to us all, is if this entire association with World Elite slowly and eventually turns the Main Event Mafia babyface. In other words, the Main Event Mafia starts seeing what they have become, or what they have become and what they have done, by seeing World Elite do the same things, if not worse. I mean, we all saw the reaction of Booker, and I think even Steiner and Kevin, to this association. Like, do you want to basically say, man, Kurt, do you really want us to associate with these guys, team up with these guys? Are you sure about them? You know, kind of deal. That's what tells me that something, Vince Russo might have something up his sleeve. Either he's going to turn Main Event Mafia babyface, or tweeners, or something's going to happen. But I think World Elite, but I think World Elite's going to get some kind of huge impact out of this. I mean, on the other hand, though, World Elite might slowly become one of those factions that, like in WCW, became like the NWO, when they became the NWO Hollywood and Wolfpack and everything. But then when they reunited, you had the NWO Elite and NWO B Team. That's what I feel World Elite might be if, this whole, thing doesn't turn Main Event Mafia babyface, and that's them becoming the B Team. In other words, becoming the NWO Jobbers, or the Jobbers for the Main Event Mafia. Those are the few scenarios I see happening. They can either come to an end at Bound for Glory with the Mafia. They can either cause the Mafia to turn face by having the Mafia see what they have become by seeing, World Elite do the same things, if not worse. Or they can end up becoming, like I said, the NWO B Team of this association, and thus end up as jobbers in the long run. But, yeah, I mean, to me, I just see a lot of similarities. I mean, honestly, I really see a lot of similarities. I really do. And some might say it looks like a similarity to the New Blood. Maybe it is a similarity to the New Blood, but it isn't. See, the New Blood was mostly all younger wrestlers. Yeah, Jeff Jarrett was a part of it, and so was Shane Douglas, but the majority of it was young superstars. The Marionettes Club consisted of what you see in the Main Event Mafia, almost. Like Kevin and Kurt and all that. And they were the good guys. Basically what I'm saying as a fan is, I truly believe, as a fan, as a mark, if you will, that one of those three scenarios is going to happen out of this World Elite Main Event Mafia merger. I mean, let's face fact. Eric Young, as the leader of the World Elite, we all know why he wants to. We all know storyline-wise why he might want to associate with the Main Event Mafia and Kurt Angle to get close to this. Now, true, what I'm holding here is not the TNA title. It was what TNA used before they broke away from them. But this is what Eric Young basically is going to go after. So I wouldn't be surprised if Eric Young gets a shot at this title, or the TNA title, which came after this, probably before the end of the year. Probably at Bound for Glory, maybe. Who knows? But, again, those are just my opinions and scenarios on what I feel could happen with this whole World Elite Main Event Mafia deal. I mean, I know a lot of us longtime fans don't like the fact that this faction, the Main Event Mafia, now got bigger with the World Elite, and they become Elite Mafia or whatever. But hey, if that brawl that took place on Thursday is any indication of what TNA can do, then hey, maybe this will be a good thing in the end. Who knows? But those are my opinions, and I hope you enjoyed them. Peace.